merched and more ladies. Hayley, what a crew.
Absolutely amazing, though, to get to, as I said in our interview with them, we are often written off when we get to middle age. As women, we write ourselves off, and to see that actually something like this is possible, I think it really does help to see a future as your children grow up, to know that there's something else out there if you choose to do it. So yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, Tammy.
Like I said, what a challenge, like what an inspiration. Just so ambitious and focused and driven and everything in between. And as Helen said, life's been life's hard. And it's her and the other ladies' way of just it's time for them. And I just think, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Has it inspired you to take on any challenges, Tammy?
I'm inspired to go to Antigua to clap them when they come in. I just all jokes aside, I just think you can never think too small when it comes to a new goal. And we've spoken about goals in the past. You can think big; it doesn't have to be small, and vice versa. But watch this space. Who knows, Tom?
Who knows? Hayley, have you got something lined up, ready to go?
Do you know, I'd love to. I just don't know what to do. I have a bit of an issue with my motivation. So yeah, I think it's finding something I would love that would make my heart sing. I have to do something that makes my heart sing if I'm going to do something to be able to keep me motivated. So I'm going to look for a challenge.
Yeah, something that you can put onto that priority list. I don't think we've done a show on priorities, have we? But I was listening to a podcast earlier about prioritizing and motivation and finding time so you get traction and things like that. That's probably something for a future Healthy Mind show as well. But they're not the only people that we've talked to this evening. We also had Rachel Bright from Time to Change Wales join us earlier. Hayley, you're a champion, and we didn't really have enough time to delve into what you do, or how you signed up for it and what that looks like on a day-to-day, week-by-week, month-by-month basis.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's very flexible, so it's not always a week by week. You can do what you like in terms of the delivery. If you want to do one a month, as I said, which is really important, particularly when somebody is still living with mental illness. Even if you are, it doesn't rule you out from becoming a champion. So I was lucky that I'd healed myself before I got involved with Time to Change Wales, and I feel every time I've been able to put a talk on, I've been able to do it. But I know full well that they are so supportive when you can't, and there are times when things are overwhelming you, or time's short, or whatever's happened. And I think that's really important. Part of going to work, or part of the challenge of going to work when you have mental illness, is not wanting to be off and not wanting to let people down. In Time to Change Wales, they don't feel let down. They understand that that's the nature of the beast. If you're not well that day, then it's fine. But I got involved. It's quite a simple process really to get involved. I got in touch. We set up the trainings. They have a day and a half training, I believe, where you can meet other champions and ask questions. And that's great as well, because they tell you the truth. They tell you how uncomfortable it can become sometimes, how open you can, or you can be as open as you like. You don't have to share everything. And yeah, just then you start delivery. You do a shadowing of somebody who's done role championing for a while, and then you go out on your own when you're ready.
Yeah. And what impact has this had on the audiences that you've delivered to?
My first, was it my first talk on my own, was in Neath Hospital to a load of nurses, I think. And there's an element of my story that I shared. And this lady said, I've just got to get up and give you a hug. I just have to. And it just started conversations from that point. It started conversations for the office. They were going to take it back, and not only did they talk to me, they went back and had conversations with a team, to managers, and it just across the wider hospital as well. And I think that's why I do what I do with Time to Change Wales, to open those conversations and to be transparent, to answer questions when people have questions, and to just allow people to explore and understand what they need to understand.
Yeah. And Tammy, it's something that I mentioned as well, that once we give people that safe space and permission to talk, the impact is I've just used the word profound with Merched Amor. It is profound, isn't it? When people actually realize, I don't need to hold on to this anymore.
Yeah, it is that sharing. We know the stories, experiences. You know, you can give an example of an adjacent story, and somebody might go, actually, that's happened to me. It's not just me that feels like this. It's not just me that's gone through this. And that's just a massive weight off your shoulders. Because when you're in the midst of a mental health illness, you can think it's just you that feels like this. So yeah, Hayley, going to those nurses and sharing that element of your story. It just, like you say, it's opening conversations, and I'm all for anything that sparks a conversation about mental health.
Yeah. And that brings us to the beginning of the show, where we were talking about this perception be reality, and those that might be the most fabulous, exuberant person that we know. Rachel brought up Robin Williams. We never truly know what someone else is thinking, and to allow people to confront the reality of how they're feeling could literally, in some instances, save someone's life, Hayley.
It really can, and one of the things that Rachel's often says when she delivers her part of the talk about Time to Change Wales, people are afraid to talk about suicide, even mention the word suicide. But actually, when you do, you kind of lift the darkness off the suicide, or the suicide ideation or suicidal thoughts, and it gives people a gateway to talk. Maybe not at that time, they may not be ready, but when you start talking about something, as we know, a problem shared is a problem halved, as they say. And it really is for somebody who is feeling that pressure and seeing that that's the only route, to be able to say to somebody, are you feeling suicidal? I've seen the relief on people's faces, and I've done it with my clients, because they've gone, do you know what, I have been.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, as they leave the session, they don't feel like that anymore, because we've opened the box, we've talked about it. And sometimes when you hear something coming out of your mouth as opposed to in your head, it's very different.
Yeah. One thing I found really interesting with Rachel is she mentioned about men being more likely, and she used the term complete suicide. And that's because there are benchmarks which people might not necessarily think about, but you've just said two of them there. You have the thoughts and then the ideation. And some people think the thoughts are real. And if you catch someone when it's at that stage, then all of a sudden they hear themselves saying it out loud, if you can give them that permission to speak freely about the thoughts they're having. And that's so important, isn't it?
It's powerful to come share. And do you remember, like, sitting around the fireplace and telling stories and sharing with your friends as kids in the dark in a tent with a light? And just, it is really powerful to be able to open the conversation up to things that everybody else finds really difficult to speak about, and to make it acceptable to speak about it, to make it easy to talk about it. That is really, really powerful.
It's those taboo subjects, though, isn't it? The ones that you kind of grow up and they are just pushed to the periphery.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they've gone anywhere. It just means we just don't talk about them.
Yeah. Finding that place without judgment, where you can talk freely without judgment, is key to it, isn't it? We're nearly at the end of Healthy Minds, Better Lives for June. We're coming back in July. If you've got a suggestion, if you've got a question that you want us to tackle, then please do get in touch. You can email us, studio@purestradio.com. If there's something that you would love us to talk about, or you think there's someone that we need to talk to on this show, then please do let us know. That email again is studio@purestradio.com. I'm going to throw it open to Tammy now. What kind of things do you think we can talk about next month?
Oh my goodness, you put me on the spot now.
I have. I apologize.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. I like we said before, Pembrokeshire Pride is happening on the 15th, which kind of sits nicely with our second Thursday. We can even touch on, I'd like to come back to what we spoke about before. Hayley and I made a list, so that nature, nurture, the impact of loneliness, perhaps, on our mental health. Hayley?
Fantastic.
Yeah, we did look at maybe emotional eating, so mood and food and mood, nutrition. Maybe Carl can come and join us and give us a few hints and tips about nutrition, and fueling our bodies. Now, this is something I want to do with the children, which I'm learning about. Fueling our bodies as opposed to just feeding our bodies.
Oh, nice. I like that distinction there. Don't just fill it up, actually give it what it needs.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, it's nearly 11 o'clock already. Tammy and Hayley, we'll see you again the second Thursday of July. If I'm quick enough, I can get my calendar out. I'm back on the radio tomorrow morning on the breakfast show. We'll be back on the 13th of July. It's not a Friday, though, which is good news. And when we come back, in fact, we didn't get a chance to talk about it. We had Glenys on the show this morning, 81 years old, getting her first ever tattoo, which is fantastic. I don't know if that's still comes under a midlife, but I think it's remarkable. We are being forced out of the studio now. But thank you so much for your time, and let's do it all again in July.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Hayley, and thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you to Rachel, and thank you to Mecca Moore for joining us this evening. We'll do it all again next month.